one. Fight!
Now that's a lot of damage!
Hey, what's up guys, this is Toby from the Master Box Show and I hope you're having a wonderful day. This is actually my first Last Epoch build, which is the super fast Hyper Bleed Falconer. This build flies around in the battlefield, spreading bleed and death to anything unfortunate enough in its way. Able to stack literally thousands of bleed in just a matter of seconds. While being so fast, it only needs to leave a trail of death in its wake. If you guys don't know me, I actually make a lot of Baldur's Gate 3 builds and videos. I already made a healthy amount of build videos already. I love showcasing creative and fun builds that everyone can play around to express their own creativity. The purpose of this leveling series is to showcase builds that still has a lot of potential for optimization. I will be guiding you throughout the leveling process up to the mid game, which is level 70, leaving the 30 remaining levels to your crazy creations. I will also be showcasing recommended items and playstyle just to give you a feel on how the build works. Anyway, thank you for watching my videos and finding my channel. Without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, now we're gonna start off with our base class, the Rogue. I'll be guiding you guys to the passives that we'll be needing throughout the build, and most likely you will be maxing this out throughout your leveling process. You can switch it up, prioritize one or the other. We're starting off with our Swift Assassin on max level. This will increase our attack speed by plus 24%, as well as our physical damage by plus 8. After that is you can get points in Guile as well as Evasion just to open up the passive Agilities. Whenever we hit the target, we have a chance to get haste and deal increased damage based on our move speed. Most likely we will be taking it to 5. I highly advise you prioritize lethal cadence more just to increase our damage buff by 100% on level 5. And right after that is you can prioritize taking agility and maxing that out to 5 as well. Most likely you will be opening up and unlocking Disembowel. This will grant us the bleed stacks every third attack. And if ever we max that out by 5, it will grant 5 stacks per third attack of our weapon. Most likely it will look like this, especially if you are prioritizing your passives accordingly. And we will now be moving to our Falconer class. Now for the Falconer, the most important passives that we'll be needing for the build, starting with our Raptor's Wings. You will be increasing your chances of gaining haste by 10% if you max this out to level 5, as well as more damage when we are hasted by 5%. Falcon increased melee attacks around 10%. On your early levels, you don't actually need to max out Raptor's Wings as early as possible. You can just leave it around level 3 and come back to it if you have additional points later on your levels. We will be taking Handler as early as possible just to open up and take Crimson Skies. This will give the ability of Crimson Shroud, and we will be maxing this out to level 5. Right after that is we'll be taking the Peltast. This will increase our throwing damage as well as our throwing attack speed, not to mention the increased throwing attack speed of our Falcon. If you max this out to level 7, this will increase it up to 49% for the damage, 14% for the attack speed. As for the Falcon, this is 35%. Right after that is we'll be taking Tactician just to open up other levels, and the second level after the Peltast, which is the Avian Hurl. You can just leave Tactician at level 3 if you want and take Avian Hurl instead. This will increase our throw damage some more by 2 points, and whenever we reach 5 points, we will be given a bonus that will add throwing damage conversion to our Falcon by 50%. After that is we'll be taking Evasion just to open up our Relentless Talents later on the levels, and I advise that you go back and take the remaining levels of Tactician. Once Intuitive Connection opens up, you will be taking this as quickly as possible. This will remove the animation lock of our Falcon Strikes as well as our Dive Bomb. This will also decrease the cooldown by 5%. Right after that is we'll be taking Relentless Talent, and most likely we will be maxing this out to level 5. Sky Assassin will be opened up. This will increase the damage over time of our bleed. Around this level, most likely we will be rounding out the Tactician. Once Tailwind is unlocked, we'll be taking Tailwind and maxing this out as well. This will decrease the damage taken by 6%. increasing our move speed as well as our dodge rating by 6%. Around level 70, most likely it will look like this. You will still have a few points to spare, and I highly advise all of the allocations moving forward will be prioritizing dexterity. You can allocate it to the Agile Hunter. You can also get Steady Hands and max this out to level 8 to your dexterity as well as plus 40 to your health. Alright, now it's time for us to talk about the skills that we'll be using for our Hyper Bleed Falconer. I'll be guiding you towards the 20 points allocation of the skill as well as the allocations for the mid game to prepare you towards the late game. Starting off with the Shuriken, we'll be moving into the upper left. We'll be taking Toxic Tip first of all, just to give us 40% poison chance. This will also be a gateway to the flip of the coin. That will add additional shurikens each throw. That will be 4 shurikens with 50% chance to proc. So we'll be taking this in order for us to open up the throwing star. This will be very important in your leveling process to make it as fast as possible. Our throwing shurikens will be replaced with an AoE shuriken attack that will be placed around us. We will no longer need to point in the general direction of the enemy in order for us to deal damage. We will just stand into the direction that they want to stand on, and the shuriken will do its thing. After that is we will be moving into the deep cuts and taking 4 points from here. That will be 80% bleed chance, and this will go really well with our passives of our rogue. Weighted projectile is up next, and we will take 2 points from here just to add physical penetration to our shurikens. On this level, most likely you will be around level 45 to 50, and we will now start preparing our build for the end game. So we will be taking ethereal blades, and we'll be maxing this out to level 4 to provide 100% of piercing chance to our shurikens. This will also be a gateway to our chakram. That will be the replacement for our shuriken. This will provide 200% chance to the size plus 30% damage, and it also returns. We'll be taking this. Right after that is we can remove the points from our throwing star, flip the coin, and Toxic Tip. We will no longer be needing those. We will now be allocating for our mid-game journey. So we will be taking Keen Throw up next here once we get the points. Chakram hits will deal more damage for each projectile we could release with our shurikens. So that is plus 12% damage to our shurikens or chakrams in this case. Right after that is we will be going south and taking Alacrity as a gateway, opening up more skills on our bottom right side. So we will be taking 3 points here. That's gonna be plus 15% of our attack speed of our shuriken, and also will scale with our chakram. After that is we will be taking Fan of Blades. We will be able to throw an additional chakram by 2. This will be very visible once we use this skill. We will be unlocking the most important thing, which is our Blade Shield. This will summon our shuriken as a shield around us for 3 seconds. The Blade Shield will also be responsible for stacking crazy amounts of bleeds once we jump towards our enemy using our aerial assault. So we'll be using this, and we will be increasing the duration of this by maxing out our floating blade, so that is plus 45% to the duration. Around level 70, your skills will most likely look like this. This is the full shuriken allocation that you will be bringing from the mid game towards the end game. Next up is our traversal skill that we have. We will be able to dash swiftly every 3.5 seconds, and this will be really good, especially in our leveling process throughout the mid game. Now we'll be starting up to allocate some stuff here and move towards the right of the skill tree, taking velocity. This will decrease the cooldown and the mana cost of our shift, and we'll be taking max level here. This will reduce it for 12%, also increase our mana efficiency by 48%. Right after that is we'll be taking the hypovolemia, so that's going to be giving us bleed chances every time we use shift, and we'll be maxing this out to 5, so that is plus 120% of our bleed chances. Jagged Cuts is up next. This will increase the duration of our bleed to 75% at level 3, and also the physical penetration of our bleed for 75% as well. Critical Opening, this will give us guaranteed crit whenever we attack after a shift. After completing the right side of the tree, we'll be taking Momentum and maxing this out to 3. This will increase our move speed by 50% every time we use shift, and the buff duration is 1.5. This will make our Falconer super fast. After that is we'll be moving to the left and take shift to recovery. Every time we use shift, if we recover some mana that we have lost. After that is Shadow Slip. This will give us invulnerability while we are shifting. Moving into this, we will just round out everything here, taking 4 points and shift recovery. Shadow recuperation will be the final priority just to add more healing, most likely around level 70. It will look like this. Third skill that most likely that we will be taking is the Falcon. This is gonna be the source of our primary DPS, especially if we unlock the Falcon class. So we will just be taking the Falconer's Journey here at first. This will be a gateway to opening our skills later on. So that's gonna be providing Falcon damage per level 1% and Falcon damage per dex, that's gonna be 1% as well. After that is moving to the right, taking side by side, so the remaining cooldown reduction after skill uses is 5%, taking 1 point here at least just to open up the Train to Hunt. This increases the damage of our Falcon, so that's gonna be 75%. Feather Knives is up next. That'll be a gateway to our Rendering Talent, so this is very important for the build. Basically, this gives us bleed chances for our Falcon, and we will be maxing this to level 4. That's gonna be 200% ailment chances for our Falcon hits. The Falcon can now proc bleed. You can take Agile Prey here to deal more damage for our Falcon. That is additional 10% damage to our enemies. Right after that, we can take Falcon Screech. Right after we use a Falcon Strike, the Falcon will screech and provide fatality as well as a slow stacks to our enemies. But before that, we need to add more skills to our side by side. And we will be adding around 1 point here and adding 3 points to our Falcon Shriek. That's going to be giving 3 stacks of Frailty as well as 3 stacks of Slow. Frightful Feathers is up next. That's going to be adding fear to our enemies. After that, we'll be finishing up with side by side and maxing this out to level 3. That's going to be providing minus 15% to the cooldown of our Falcon Strike. For the final point, you can take Falcon Smart, or maybe is it a bird, just to add more damage to our enemies. I'll take is it a bird. Most likely your build will look like this. This is the complete build progressing to the mid game and also the late game. For the fourth skill that you will be unlocking, most likely you will be taking Aerial Assault around level 45. So we'll be progressing here and opening up Skyward Swoop. This will be a gateway to unlocking all of the skills that we'll be needing for this tree. Decrease the cooldown of our Aerial Assault whenever the Falcon hits a target by 10%. You can either take Avian Hunter to decrease the cooldown some more. I highly advise you take Avian Hunter as early as possible, decreasing it up to 12% and also increasing the damage by 24%. Right after that we will now be focusing more on the lower left and taking Treacherous Pursuit. This will drop health drops whenever we use an Aerial Assault to the location. After that we'll be taking Rendering Barbs. This will add bleed chances to the caltrops that we drop. That's gonna be plus 200%. It also gives Falcon bleed chance per 4 dex by 4%. This is gonna be a gateway to opening the Spike Field. We can add more caltrops and drop them 6 meters halfway. This is also the reason why we can proc so many bleed from enemy to enemy. So we'll be taking Spike Field and 4 levels of Vengeful Nails right after that. This will provide 200% of slow as well as more caltrop damage by 40%. After completing the lower left section of this build, we'll be taking Projectile Training here and we will be maxing this out to level 4. This will add our throwing damage modifier to our Wing Burst, which is really nice. So that's gonna be plus 120% to our Feather Burst damage. And finally, we'll be taking Feather Storm here. Most likely your build will look like this around level 70, going through the mid game towards the end game. Fifth spell is the Net. We'll be unlocking this later on our levels, and most likely this is the level that will be really useful around level 50. So we will be opening it up here and take Trickster Arts as early as possible. That's going to be adding caltrops whenever we use the Net. What's really interesting is that caltrops from all sources also scale with other caltrops modifiers from other skills. So this caltrops here will also proc bleed when we drop this to our enemies, which is amazing. After that is moving into the right side, we will be taking Agile Hunter, increasing the range of our jump distance by 12%. And this will also be a gateway to the skill that we will need, the Assault of the Huntress. We will now be jumping forward instead of backward. And this is not a traversal skill, so we can still use our net without proccing the cooldown of our traversals. So we will be taking this. We will now be moving to the lower left side and taking more bleed chances whenever we use the net. So we will be maxing out to level 4, giving us plus 200% to our bleed chance, Up next is the Barb Net. This will provide physical damage over time whenever we use a net. Right after that, this will be taking curved hooks at level 5. So we'll be dealing more damage to the net. Will be multiplicative with other modifiers that also has bleed. So that's gonna be plus 50% and also increasing the duration of our bleed by 50%. Finally, in the lower left side, we are taking the Trapper's Crescendo. We'll be dealing even more damage with our net per 100 dodge rating by 1%. After taking Trapper's Crescendo, we will now go back and take Zone of Control. We will be maxing this out to level 3. This will increase the AoE of our net by 45%. This will also be a gateway to take Trickster's combo. Whenever we hit an enemy using a net, we also throw a caltrop on their general location. We'll be taking 1 level of this. We will be improving our caltrop damage some more while introducing critical strike chances from all sources from our 10% global slow chance. We'll be taking 1% here. Most likely your build is complete. Just take additional net duration by 10%. Now let's introduce the secret sauce to the build. We will now drop the shift skill and we'll be respeccing this and moving into taking Smoke Bomb instead. This is actually the skill that will make our Hyper Bleed Falconer really strong, especially if you are pushing monoliths later on your endgame levels and farming your legendaries. Smoke Screen will be replacing Shift. So now let's talk about the Smoke Bomb. This will provide an AoE of smoke and provide 100% haste throughout that AoE, while also blinding our enemies for 100%. We'll be taking points in Lingering Fumes, making it a gateway to opening up for Concealed in Carnage. Whenever you use a smoke screen, we gain bleed chance per Crimson Shroud by 50%, while also increasing the damage over time by 5%. After that we'll be moving towards the lower left side by just unlocking more Lingering Fumes here and also increasing the duration by 20%. This will increase the melee damage, but the most important thing that we need here is increasing the throw damage by plus 20 whenever we are inside the smoke. This will also open up the Blood Bandit. This will make our Hyper Bleed Falconer really strong because of the throwing leech that this will provide. So we will be maxing out to level 3. Right after that we'll be maxing out Lingering Fumes just to increase the duration of our smoke some more by 50%. After that we'll be introducing slow stacks by using the thick smoke. Whenever the enemies are inside the smoke, they will be slowed by 1 stack. This will open up Eroding Fumes and we'll be taking 4 stacks of this. That's gonna be 4 stacks of Armor Shred that are inside our fumes. For the final point, we'll be taking Generosity that will increase coverage of our smoke by 20%. Finally, your skill tree will most likely look like this, moving into the mid game towards the end game. The 5 skills that you will be bringing to the end game is Shuriken, Smoke Bomb, Falcon Strike, Aerial Assault, and Net. Alright, here are some really good recommendations for you guys in terms of the items to make the Hyper Bleed Falconer as powerful as possible, especially in the mid game for you to start farming those legendary items. These items are easily acquired in the bazaar, provided that you have the currency to buy these items. Starting with the One-Handed Axe, the Undisputed is really good for the build because it gives us plus 71 bleed chance on hit as well as damage leech of 7.5%. Any items that increases our bleed duration as well as the bleed chance, that will be very beneficial for this build. So Undisputed is also great. For the helmet is the Courser Blood's Cowl. There aren't any real good unique items that will be affecting our bleed chance for the helmet, so we will go with this set item here. This will increase our physical penetration with bleed, that will be 22%, increasing the bleed duration by 24, while also giving us block effectiveness by 26%. For the shield, the Flayer's Pride is really good. It also gives 79% to the chance on bleed hit, as well as 36% physical penetration with bleed. We also get 32 health on kill. For the belt, the Thorn Slinger is our choice. This is plus 1 to our physical skills, 25% to our bleed chance on hit, 6 increased move speed, 6% throwing attack speed, and also 44 damage reflect. Boots, that will be 30% to our move speed, 45% to the bleed duration, 11 strength, 11 dexterity, and 9 intelligence, which is really nice. Not to mention the 33% more physical ailment damage to moving enemies. Gloves is the salt on the wounds, This will increase our critical strike multiplier by 34%, damage over time by 34% as well. Relics will be Valdir's Chalice. This is really nice. This gives us 49% chance to our bleed on hit, 41% increased bleed duration, 2% physical damage over time leech as health, while also getting 20 health gain per stacks of bleed on the target. Amulet and the rings are depending on your preference. There are only a few really good rings that will complement our bleed stacks here. So I'll just go with any items that provides us with leech, as well as some other attack modifiers for the build, such as this. The Siphon of Anguish, it will increase our leech rate by 11%, increasing our move speed by 5%. It also applies Doom, which is really nice. I have 2 of those on my inventory. Finally, just want to show you guys how the build works and how is it in action. Also, what are the spells that you will be using, particularly whenever you are farming in the monoliths. On your auto attack button, we will be binding the shuriken there, so we can just effectively use the shuriken whenever we want with just a tap of the mouse button here. So you see here, just an effective mouse button, the shuriken will be circling around us. Right after that is we will just go find enemies. We will start by just jumping to their current location by the use of our aerial assault, and that will proc our feather storm with our falcon. You see here, we'll just keep rocking here and bunny hopping our way to victory, while also activating our shuriken that will also deal bleed stacks to our opponents here. Right. We'll just keep on bunny hopping ourselves here by just using the net to propel us forward, while also leaving some caltrops on the ground. Whenever you have the opportunity to damage any enemies, that will proc our haste as well. We will just move to enemy here. And we will be procking haste. See here, we will also be using our Falcon Strike while bunny hopping our way to deal enemy waves. So we'll just come here. Whenever you encounter enemies or enemy groups that are hard to kill or quite dangerous, you just need to drop your smoke bomb and you will leech off of them, while also getting haste as well as blinding any enemies that are inside the smoke bomb. See here, we'll just keep on moving as quickly as possible, spamming our aerial assault off cooldown while leaving caltrops on the ground using our net. That will proc all of the bleeds that we need, especially for enemies that we just leave behind, and they'll just die chasing us. Keep on moving, drop the smoke bomb if you want, and just bunny hop our way using the net. We just eliminated that really quickly. Moving again. Just bunny hop our way, leaving caltrops on the ground, moving to another target really quickly, super fast. Just leave those caltrops on the ground. That will deal bleed stacks to the enemies that are chasing us. Just move here. Take some caltrops. Again, move again. Bunny hop our way. My basic tactic here is, if I'm just running around, I'll just leave caltrops here and there, and then just let the caltrops deal with enemies, and I'm good. Just keep on repositioning, dropping caltrops on the ground. And that's it. Alright guys, thank you for watching the build. I tried my best to make it as short as possible and to point out all of the most important stuff that you will be needing, as well as leaving some creative opportunities for you to tweak the build however you want. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you guys like the video, don't forget to hit that like button. It really lets me know that you guys are enjoying the builds. Shout outs for all the people who subscribe and keep supporting the channel. I really appreciate you guys for all of the amazing support. And for all the people who haven't subscribed yet, thank you for watching my videos, and I hope I earn your subscriptions in the future. But if I earn it today, please don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button. It really helps me out a lot. If you want to support me directly, please consider joining our D20 Rollers Club by hitting the join button. I also have Patreon if you want to go that route. For all the people who joined on Patreon, thank you guys for joining. Your names are always be on my videos. Finally, that's it for me. Hope to see you soon on the next Master Box Show. Peace out. Bye guys.